Welcome to the Prairie Puck Podcast, Episode 8, where it's all about habitant. Bonjour, mon ami. I'm here with my normal crew, Jake from Pig City Hockey.
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm here with Zach from the Nolan Hockey Podcast.
Hello.
And we have a special guest with us, Harry. Harry, tell everybody where you're from.
Well, I'm from youtube.com/Harry Rice. I don't think it's actually /Harry Rice. But basically, going to YouTube, you type Harry Rice. My channel should pop up, I believe. I do Habs content, and being from Quebec, gotta rep the Habs, so they're kind of my lifelong team.
That's awesome. So where are you from in Quebec?
I'm not gonna, if you don't mind, I don't want to say like exactly where, but I'm from pretty much nowhere. You just drive around, you're not gonna find me.
You're not from Quebec City. You're not from Montreal.
There we go.
No. I'm not from Montreal. I'm in like the middle of the dirt roads, basically.
Okay, so then I got to get your opinion on this, being from Quebec. So, Habs fans, I'm gonna say it right now. Sometimes y'all a little sensitive.
Indeed.
So there's a lot of things. I cover a lot of Habs because the Habs are winning. I cover a lot of hockey. And I think from the beginning of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Habs fans almost viewed Montreal as like a number one powerhouse seed. Yet you're actually the number 4 seed, and you're about to make it to the Stanley Cup, in my opinion. And then Habs go, "Don't jinx it. We can't, you can't say it. I can say it. I can say it." So I think you're going to the Cup.
We can say
And
it.
because I think you're going to the Cup, tell me, what's the feeling like in Quebec? Like where's the disconnect I'm seeing in the world where Quebec sees you guys as a powerhouse, which I'm going to say it right now. You were right. We were wrong, because you're making it to the Cup final. So you are.
We were very wrong.
What did you see that we didn't see? Talk to me about Montreal in Montreal.
Well, I don't really talk too much with anyone else like outside of like my little circle. From what I understand, we were seeing that Carey Price could revert back to playoff form, which he has. He's gone back to seemingly 2014 form out of nowhere. We've been seeing a defense that kind of clicks in the playoffs, and we've seen what Marc Bergevin was kind of talking about all the time. We're a playoff team. You know, we have guys that perform well in the playoffs. Prairie, he was on waivers, and his agent talked 2 teams out of picking him up. He's a big playoff performer for us this year. Eric Stahl, that entire kind of fourth line has just been clicking. We have a group of playoff performers that come together. And also, I think it's not only that we are a playoff team, but we got hot at the right time. We came to the playoffs on a 5-game losing streak, won the first game against the Maple Leafs, and went down 3-1. And something about being down 3-1 just kind of clicked in us, and we were just kind of like, or I'm assuming the players, at least us fans, were like, at least me personally, I was like, okay, we're done. Leafs in 5. My prediction's going to be right. I predicted Leafs in 5. But the rest of us were just kind of like, hey, it's not over till it's over. Rally back, win in 7, obviously. I think a lot of us were seeing that there was a lot of kind of intangibles, and I've seen a few different videos from creators that were mentioning the intangibles and how much heart this team really has. And basically, we're just getting on a lucky run because we have playoff performers, and we just believe in ourselves, really. We're a team that fights for each other, is basically what I would kind of put it down to.
Okay, so I got to tell you, I mean, this video is dropping on my channel. Go check out, the video just below. I would have said 2 rounds ago, okay, you're getting lucky. I'm wrong. I have now spent way too much time with the Habs. I understand why it is. The Habs system has broken the NHL, and not just my brain. It's actually broken it.
It's devil's syndrome.
Going into Montreal, I guess the fans knew it, but the rest of the NHL is like, what is this? This doesn't, it shouldn't work, but it definitely does, and it's definitely purposeful. So why don't we go over to Zach first? Zach, tell me what you're seeing when you watch Montreal. Why is Montreal breaking the NHL to you? Like, we know about intangibles.
Okay, so
they did a great job on that. Tell me the other stuff.
Here's the big thing. So the Habs, while the Habs have been impressive, it's funny, the Habs have been impressive offensive with their offensive players. But if you had told me that the team with probably the most odd man rushes and breakaway goals in this playoffs would be like the Habs, at least in the top 3, I would have asked you what year in the 90s we were talking. It's absolutely absurd that pretty much every time Paul Byron has the puck, it's because he's getting a breakaway pass from Josh Anderson. And pretty much, like, it's such a simple game on paper to play if you have the players to do it, but I've never seen a team so automatically buy into it like the Habs are. The entire game plan centers around a team pressuring them to the point of exhaustion and getting so exhausted that they're trying to force plays that aren't there and then turning the puck right back the other way the second they overcommit. Like, even plays like, for example, an underrated type play, because it was scored on the power play, was the third goal by Cole Caulfield. Why is that set up? Because Mark Stone is trying to push something that is not happening. Mark Stone is trying to pressure a 2-on-2 situation shorthanded because he thinks he needs to make something happen because it's a 2-0 game for the Habs. If he just dumps that puck in, there's nothing there, but he tries to force it, it gets turned over, it goes up ice, it gets over to Cole Caulfield, and it goes in the back of the net. It's just every play and every goal they get is made off of errors from the other team, and it's errors that they are able to create off of other teams. Like, if you look at the way Vegas scores, for example, off of draws, it's things that they have to create themselves with no variables around, no time for the Habs to set up, no opportunity for the Habs to do anything. Other than that, it's the Habs game, honestly.
Was it Suzuki or was it Perry that passed that over to Caulfield for goal 3?
Perry. Oh,
Perry, yeah.
Perry,
Okay,
yes.
so no, it wasn't just the Mark Stone turnover. I need to point out how ridiculous it is that Corey Perry was on a freaking
That pass.
breakaway and passed backwards.
Yes.
Through a man. This is
Oh
how
my
good the
God.
Habs are, and defying NHL logic. Take the shot. You're on a breakaway. Nope. Screw that. I'm gonna back pass through a man.
Even Kotkaniemi's goal was like that too. Anderson doesn't really get a shot on net. Like, he tries to, but he actually just puts it right to the right. And then Nick Holden doing the worst back check in the history of back checks.
I was gonna say even worse. Holden was like, "I'm gonna stand beside you and never tie you up."
That was a Mark Scheifele back check right there. And there was minus
He
the
was
brain
just
damage.
allowed to stand
Like,
there.
honestly.
And Mark Stone did that to Cole Caulfield on goal 3. Standing beside him, yeah, go ahead and shoot. Doesn't stick. Like, he made the whole back check to not lift the stick. Okay, Jake, what are you seeing in the Habs game? Your dad's a Habs fan. What are you seeing here?
Well, honestly, I've just spent the day with my dad. Happy birthday to you, 57 years young. And I gotta say, I was just talking to him about that stuff, and he's a lifelong hockey fan. He's played hockey since he was 10 years old. He's watched it every year, and he has no idea what the hell is going on with the Montreal Canadiens this year. Everyone he talks to, he's got no idea. And he's like, I can't even put it on Carey Price being Carey Price. He's so confused. He thought this team was done when they made the coaching change. He was so angry with that. He thought the Habs were just going to have a mediocre season. He was not happy with it, and he doesn't know how to feel right now. And that's kind of the way I feel it too, because when I look at this team, you guys have already covered exactly how I feel, because shouldn't be here, but they are. They've broken the NHL. They've shown that this type of hockey, this modernized trap of hockey that they're playing is still very effective, and then it's broken the NHL. And I'm not going to lie to say that I think a lot of teams that are similarly in the Habs spot, where they have a lot of youth coming up, a lot of potential, teams even like Minnesota, that are going to start to adapt this type of strategy more, and we're going to see it really take over the league, I feel like, because look at where the Habs are. And Harry, I love you, buddy, but don't take this the wrong way. When you look at star power compared to where the Habs are, you should be like, the Vegas should have won this series in 4 if you look at the stars that Vegas has. And I know that Vegas, and then even saying Vegas has played the harder series and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter anymore, because why? The Habs are playing their game to perfection. Exactly what I think it was that Zach that said it was, is that the entire team has bought into the system. And when the entire team is playing that way, you're going to have success. Hockey is the most team-based sport on the planet. So if you have everyone on that team buying into the way you're playing and the methods that you're playing, and you're having success with it, I don't see them losing. And even though I think that there's still, I don't like to say anything until it's over, I don't think that the Habs are going to not, win tonight's game, and I don't think that the Habs are going to not win the cup. I just think that the Habs have been able to put everything together at the most perfect time, had everything work to plan, and we're seeing the outcomes of it every night when they go on the ice. Even when they have a bad game, there is still a lot of elements in their game that is still promising and shows that they could have won this game if they had a bounce here or a bounce there. I think the Habs are one of the most well-coached teams in the NHL right now when you look at what they've been able to get done with only half a season with a guy who is a brand new to the NHL as well. So I think that this team is a very interesting situation. I can't wait to see what happens, because even if, God forbid, knock on wood, not jinxing anything, the Habs don't win tonight, the directions that they can go with this club are endless. You can adapt the same style for next year, incorporate the youth, and go for a more speedy-based team next year. There's so many options and plans that are at their foot right now, and they can go anywhere. And the potential of winning a cup and still having those options, I would love to be in the Habs situation right now. And I would also love to be Bergevin right now, because the guy was going to lose his job a couple months ago, and now he's in contention for GM of the year, and has built one of the most amazing teams we've seen in the last decades when it comes to
got the most first place votes for GM of the year, just one at loss of the other votes.
And that's crazy to think about where they were at with all of that.
They voted that before the playoffs.
Yep. So I'm going to explain why the Habs are so freaking broken. So Zach pointed out breakaways. Harry, this is why your team's broken. In the modern NHL, you attack with 5 up. And the Vegas Golden Knights are the best team at attacking 5 up, and we have been talking for 15 years in the NHL about activating your D and getting that fourth defenseman in
40% of their points
from the point. So in your own D zone, what you are supposed to do is very simple. If your team has the puck, the Montreal Canadiens in their own D zone, you leave as a unit of 5. You can stretch a winger on the far side, but not until you get the puck. Montreal has decided that when Vegas has the puck, or when the puck is in dispute, they're leaving not 1, but 2 guys out the zone. They're just gone. They're not looking back. They're not shoulder checking. They're not playing D, because it is a set system that if this puck turns over, Price has got us, and the defensemen from the Golden Knights are literally caught flat-footed. They've been caught so many times going, are you, what?
Yeah.
Why? It's not that defensemen aren't used to stretch passes. They're just used to waiting till their team has the puck, and then they gap. These guys are already gone before they have the puck, and what's going through the Vegas player's head, I tell you right now, because I'm a D, what the fuck? Why? Do I leave the zone, or do I hold the line and try to intercept the pass? And by the time they make the decision, it's too late, and Byron's gone.
Yeah.
It's always bad. It's always bad.
Embarrassing. And the only way this will work for the Knights to beat them is Price has to fall apart, because I watched last game 3 chances where the Knights should have buried it because they turned over. You can turn over the system.
He's in their head.
This is actually a very easy system to beat. It just hasn't worked in 15 years. And the Knights don't know how to do it. And when it does work, Price is like, mine. And it's done. No rebound.
And Ryan, one of the reasons why I think that you're right about this to a T is also when the reason why that that the Knights are having such a hard time at getting through this is because look at what teams that the Knights had to play consistently throughout the regular season, and then look at what the Habs played. They can, you know what I mean? Completely different types of competition, and the way that those divisions were played were vastly different in the games and how the speed was.
The West was the haves and have-nots.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
When you bring a team like the Habs that has played a very different style of hockey like this all season long, regardless of it having success or not in the North at times, and then have them apply it to a team that has not seen anything like this all season long, it breaks their momentum. It breaks everything that Vegas had going into this conference final, and it's a huge reason why they haven't been able to get that past that demon that is Carey Price. He's just been able to own them, and I don't think that's ending anytime soon. And it's not like, let's be real, that Vegas has had horrible games goaltending, because Fleury has made some bad decisions, but even when they've had Leonard come in, they've had some solid performances. This is just Carey Price being Carey Price, probably the best we've seen from him, probably comparing even to the Olympics, I would go as far to saying how good he's been. And
it's international play for Carey
exactly.
Price.
It really is, in my opinion. He has been phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay. So there's actually, can I just say one quick thing? I have never seen a team so afraid of a 3-on-2 as the Montreal Canadiens. They do not give a 3-on-2. Every time there is a rush, there's the patience on the forward who's back is impressed me time and time again. Even if it is a man like Kasperi Kotkaniemi, who's almost like the same age as me, and I have no patience, and he waits until there's a 3-on-3 going into the zone, so Vegas has no upper hand. Like, that's mind-boggling, because so many teams nowadays are just like, oh, okay, well, it's a 3-on-2, the 2 defenders, they know what they do. It happens all the time. We'll let the shot go through. No, none of that. There's one question I do actually want to ask Harry, and I'm wondering if you guys would waiver this. Is there anyone on the Habs that you would like to see more from or have not been as impressed with? Because we talk a lot about the Habs' success, and I think it might go without saying that it hasn't been perfect, but it has been very, very good. Is there anything you could see as a detractor so far?
Dano, Gallagher, and Lehkonen personally. Gally has gotten opportunities. He's definitely gotten some good chances. I want to see him. I just want to see a little bit more out of him. I want to see him get a few goals. Obviously, not get a hat trick every game. That's just unrealistic. But getting a goal or two here and there when it really matters. Dano, he's been great defensively. Just want to see a slight bit of more offense out of him. He only has the 1 assist in these playoffs, but
2 assists. I'm looking at the stats right now, Harry. Philip Danault's got 2 points.
Oh, 2. Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, because he got one last game, I think. So like I would expect maybe 1 goal, maybe 2 more assists. Not too much more out of him, but I do think that that top Dano line is probably what I'd expect a little bit more out of, because the Toffoli line has had a series. I forget who said this. It might have been actually one of you guys. I forget, but I remember hearing the Toffoli line has had a series. The Prairie line, the Stahl line has had a series, and the KK line has had a series. The Dano line has not had a series where they can take over yet. Yeah. So I would like to see them try and do that.
Well, Cup final appearance. You got to get it. All 4 lines getting a show. You got to get it the next one. And I want to ask you this, Harry, as well, before we go anywhere further. Who has been the biggest surprise for you this playoff run, personally, as a Habs fan? Who has done the best, you think? Who the biggest surprise has been?
Biggest surprise, Eric Stahl, no doubt, because Eric Stahl came in. He had the 2 goals against Edmonton. Seems he really likes scoring against Edmonton. Got the 2 goals, and then just dead silence for the rest of the series, or for the rest of the season. Comes in the playoffs, and he just suddenly turns it on. I was not expecting that. If we got to this point, I was expecting maybe 2 goals, 3 assists, maybe. But dude has he's completely turned it around. He's proven at this stage he is definitely a playoff performer. Him and Prairie especially, those guys have just been clicking like crazy. Them and Armia, I love that 4th line. You can't even really call it a 4th line. It's arguably our first line. Like I said, Eric Stahl, definitely the biggest surprise. I'm very, very happy with his production. Would love to bring him back, but it's probably going to cost too much.
By the way, Harry, you're welcome for Joel Armia, you bastard.
Yeah. How's Steve Mason playing for you recently? Didn't think so.
Now I gotta ask.
I was getting real confused.
Harry. Okay, so big brain question. First question, truth fact. Did you watch my last video on the Habs? Because if you did, it's a cheat.
I didn't. I apologize. I didn't.
Oh,
good. Thanks for following. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now.
Shameless shout out. Shame on you, coach.
Shame.
Boo.
Now.
Shameless man.
Speaking of shameless, why do you keep getting scored on in the face-off? What's the problem?
Yes, I would like to know that, Harry. Give your opinion on that.
I want to know.
Oh wow. Why do we keep getting scored on in the face-off? Because there's 3 guys. We have the 1 defender from Vegas, and it seems like every time we get scored on, it's Sherratt and Weber or something, some combo of our defensemen trying to go after 1 Vegas defenseman, and Price keeps getting screened whenever Vegas scores right off a face-off like that. It always seems to be because there's 2 Canadians, 1 Golden Knight. That would be a very bad shock video. Right in front of the net, in front of Price, that allows Vegas to score off a face-off. And who knows? It's typically the defensemen, and their defensemen have most of the points in the playoffs, so who knows?
Okay,
That's probably the reason why.
This is what's happening. It's the only weakness of the Habs, and I don't understand how they're not correcting it, because it's like the easiest thing to correct. It's not the centerman, because I saw a lot of picking on in the Habs chats groups about Suzuki losing draws. You're shredding them in the face-off circle, shredding them. And you're going to lose a draw from time to time. And they're putting out Dano to take defensive zone draws like Suzuki and Caulfield or in KK are useless. And I'm sitting here going, your wingers are freaking post turtles. And if you don't know what post turtle is, it's a turtle that sits on a post. It doesn't know how it got there. It didn't get there by itself. And it has no idea how to get there. And it's worse than useless. And the wingers, instead of allowing Weber and Petrie and the defenseman to tie up the wingers in the D zone, they're tying up the wingers, leaving the defenseman open, and they're not going out to block a shot. And this has happened 6 times.
Yeah.
Like, you lose draws. Why are the wingers not going to the D? Like, you're losing to set plays that, like, work, I don't know, 1 out of every 1,000 face-off, but you practice them because you never know when you're going to get that goal, and it's happened 6
or
times.
every 5.
I've noticed that since game 1, coach. That first
Get
goal
to
with
the
Theodore was
point.
the same thing. I know exactly. You got to get to that, especially when you have the defenders that Vegas has. They've got some great guys back there that can shoot that puck.
Oh,
Yeah, for me, it was the Pietrangelo 2-goal game,
go to the
honestly.
point and lay it out for a blocked shot. Defensemen tie up wingers. Like, this isn't hard.
Exactly. I agree, man.
That's the only way you can get past Carey Price is when Carey Price is literally not even. It's not even that he's not getting help from his team. It's his team is actively taking away from his ability to stop the puck.
Only way you're getting it past Carey Price is if you can't see it.
The shot opportunity is actually so surprising and stupid that Price is like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah, like he's letting like maybe 3 or 4 goals, maybe 3 or 4 from cross crease passes. He's probably letting about 5 from shots from the he's letting more, which doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Shots off faceoffs are one of the hardest shots for a goalie to save because there's literally a cluster in front of you.
Oh yeah, those suck. Those suck. You feel the worst too because you feel like the entire 5 minutes of setting it up was absolutely pointless just for you to get scored on.
So before we give Mark Bergevin GM of the year and Ducharme Coach of the year, Coach, it's a face-off. Tweak it. Like, geez, Louise. Okay, second question now to you, Harry.
Luke Richardson.
I'm already assuming, I know you're not, you're a Plate Habs fan. I'm assuming the Knights are done. Bye-bye, Knights. And now that I said it, the Knights will win in 7. But
this could age very badly. Very badly.
The time capsule. The time capsule.
And I want to tell all of you guys, this is why Bob McKenzie doesn't make predictions. This is exactly why Bob McKenzie gave up on predictions. He's like, I'm done.
Well, I don't exactly. Are you kidding me? Did you not? My entire bracket, the only team that I got right in my entire bracket for some reason is Vegas. I had Vegas getting to this spot. That's the only team that I got this far.
I thought Minnesota would slow them down. I had Florida there I had Florida up there like a fucking dreamer.
Florida's my cup winner. Florida was my cup winner.
I would love to know who decided.
The only team I had right were the Islanders.
Someone show me our bracket where you had Montreal versus Tampa Bay.
Just a bunch of Chernobyls.
Yes,
right
please,
there.
please do. If anyone has that, and I'm not the please.
With a date stamp that shows.
I made a joke about this too. As long as the one team from the East doesn't win on that side, you could just have the Western Conference champion, Eastern Conference champion, and the one team from the fucking East is gonna win the West.
Yep. And you know, some clown, like a Sports Select Pools bet, you know, some clown actually does have a bracket with Montreal and Tampa Bay and got there, and you're like, how did you get there? And they don't recall because they were drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
He's living in the middle of nowhere. He's like Harry's neighbor. He'll be like, oh man, Fred, wait, oh buddy, you got the picks, and that'll be it.
Oh man.
Honestly.
Okay. So Harry, who do you want to play out of the Islanders or the Lightning?
Oof.
I
Depends where.
Actually, all comers. You have to pick one.
Depends where you play them.
I've been asked this a lot on my own channel. I haven't been able to give a conclusive answer. I want to play the Islanders. I think we both
have to.
We've all gone down with the ship. We've all gone down with the ship.
He suckered us into picking Florida. You're picking a team, my friend.
Time to join.
No. I'm picking. I'm just going through. I want to play the Islanders on one hand because they also kind of play a modified trap, and because I think it'd be a really, really fun series, and everyone kind of wants Montreal versus the Islanders. I know a lot of Islanders fans. But on the other hand, and I think I'd rather face Tampa because if they lose Kucherov after what happened last night, that is massive for the Canadiens. And I'll be honest, and this is probably not, and it's probably going to be Lightning and 4 because
I'm saying this. Is this a Habs fan betting on an injury?
I'm glad he's in. I'm not saying I'm glad he's in.
Don't go down that road, my friend.
Go there.
I'm just saying. But if he is injured long term, which obviously I'm hoping he's not, I'm hoping he's back for Game 7. But if he is out for the series, I think the Canadiens have what it takes to beat Vasilevsky. I don't know if the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to have an answer for what the Montreal Canadiens are doing with their style of play and their buttfuckery at the line with just having 2 forwards out, like Coach said. I honestly think I feel more confident playing the Tampa Bay Lightning than the New York Islanders. I think Varlamov is a complete completely different puzzle, and I don't know if we have the pieces to solve him. Vasilevsky, I'd feel more comfortable being able to solve him, and I think we can.
That's interesting.
So
that
you
think that,
you like
the more stronger goalie that you think you
Well,
can solve.
here's the
compared
thing,
to a
though.
weaker goalie. No shame to Vasilevsky. Excuse me, not Vasilevsky, but
Vasilevsky.
God, too many Russian names. I can't.
Varlamov.
Varlamov.
There's a
thank
V
you,
there,
God.
buddy. You'll get it.
Like I literally just felt my brain was just dipped. Like, oh man. Ugh. Point being.
I mean, to be fair, we took out the best goalie in the NHL in Hellebuck in the second round. So
Yeah, but
yeah.
but the thing about that though, I will say as a Jets fan, and you're talking all three of them, is that if the Jets showed up and Hellebuck played the way he did, it could have been different. It could have been different. Hellebuck was that good. Hellebuck was better than Price
Jake,
in that series.
This man was lamenting a 5-game losing streak. He doesn't even know our pain.
Well, whatever.
Let's
fine.
not share it with him. 5 games losing is cute. That is adorable. 7 games is what make
hey,
Warriors.
at least you guys aren't Buffalo.
Oh God, high bar, eh?
You know what?
Seattle isn't Buffalo.
I'm gonna take this a little bit
Hold
off
on.
the path
You
real
guys
quick
wanna
just
know
for
a
1
fun fact?
second.
Yeah,
You want to know a fun fact,
Please
all
do,
three of
Coach.
you?
Yes.
We all YouTube hockey.
yeah.
The largest hockey YouTuber
Oh no.
only covers Buffalo.
Really?
Is that Melody?
Melody Martin, go look her up.
Really?
I know
I
she
have
is.
the highest
I know she
subscriber.
is, but she doesn't have 100. Steve Dangle's the biggest.
Wasn't
Oh, no,
Steve
I
higher?
think she's a little bigger. She's
No,
over
Steve
thought-
Dangle's got over
No,
100K,
He's
man.
got like 100 and
No,
something.
Steve Dangle is over
He's
100K.
literally on
Yeah, he does.
Sportsnet.
Yeah, he is. Steve Dangle's
The
the
hockey
biggest.
guy has over 200K now, I
But
think.
the hockey
Okay,
guy
but the
doesn't cover
hockey
one
guy
guy.
is major. Like he's
the
everywhere.
league.
Let me check this.
Oh, that covers one
Dangle
team?
has-
Oh.
Yeah. Because unless you're talking Team Canada, Steve Dangle definitely covers.
Steve
So Melody
Dangle
Martin's
has
25K. Melody's 25K.
I thought she was
And
200.
Steve is
No, Steve's
and
like-
Steve 6 times that.
Okay,
So
I
Leafs
thought she was
win, lol.
250K. I missed the zero. I thought it was 250K.
Honestly, yeah.
She's grown a
She
lot though
deserves that
because
for
of
her
that.
suffering, honestly.
Exactly.
She does deserve that. She
She
deserves
deserves
it.
anything for that suffering.
Honestly, Buffalo fans deserve better, and I've been saying that for way
Relating
too
this-
long.
Relating this to Buffalo, I just gotta say this real quick because it's hilarious. I want to pull up the comment. I already sent it earlier.
Oh, God.
I made a video recently, as most of you guys know, just a hypothetical rumor as a Jets fan, talking about how they could potentially make an offer to get Eichel. And in that video, someone made a comment saying that Eichel would never want to go to Winnipeg because Winnipeg is rebuilding and retooling. They don't need to go out and get a guy like Eichel. Eichel doesn't want to play on 2 rebuilding teams like Buffalo and Winnipeg.
That is not rebuilding.
I don't even know what to say to that, buddy. So enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, Mr. Commenter. But I think you need to go to a psych hospital
Eichel doesn't want to go to a team retooling. No, that
or
is a
rebuilding.
Rebuild. Yeah, because Winnipeg's rebuilding.
Yeah,
I'd rather stay in
apparently.
Buffalo than go to Winnipeg.
2 out of the 3 spots, okay. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a rebuild.
Harry, I want to ask you
Okay.
this because I've only been able to. I got to watch an amazing. All 3 of us got to watch an amazing out of the nowhere playoff performance from the Jets in round 1 in that sweep over Edmonton. All 3 of us thought that Edmonton was going to beat our team. I thought 5 games. I don't know. I think Zach was 6.
I said
Coach,
I said
don't know
6.
what your prediction was. I can't remember.
You
What was
guys
your
laughed
prediction?
at me when I said we could possibly win in 6, and you're like, okay, guys,
Were you
real
Habs in
talk.
4 or
And I was
5
like, all
me?
right.
Habs, excuse me. Oilers in 4 or 5, Ryan.
I had the Oilers in 6.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so similar
Yeah.
to Zach there. So I gotta say, all we got to enjoy was one out of nowhere series. You've been able to enjoy potentially all the way up to a Western. No, excuse me. You've already made it to
We
Western
barely
Conference
had a
Final.
month.
You're on the edge of a cup appearance. What has been your favorite series so far out of the ones you've played?
Don't say it.
Ooh, honestly, I think the Maple Leaf series, because there was such low expectations that when we won game 1, I was happy with that. I was like, okay, cool, we won a game. I'm fine with that. Lose 3 straight, nah. Then we win game 5 and game 6 after blowing 2 and 3 nothing leads. Come back to win those. And then winning game 7, honestly, I think I felt way more joy winning game 7 than I did sweeping Winnipeg or beating the Golden Knights, at least in game 5. I think I felt way more joy in just making it out of the first round because it was my first time as a Habs fan actually seeing them get out of the first round. I wasn't around for 2010 or 2014. Well, I wasn't watching. I was around, but I wasn't watching. I don't know. It's probably going to be the Knights series, but I don't know. I feel like the way Chris Lee and Ryan O'Rourke, I think is his name, the other official.
Yeah, I believe.
The way they've officiated game 3 and 4 really took my enjoyment out. Even though we won game 3, they really took my enjoyment out of that game 3. So I definitely think it's going to be the Toronto series. But I do want to put an asterisk if we do get to the Cup final, even if we get swept, that's probably going to be my favorite series just because we made it to the Cup final and I get to see my team there.
And I totally get that, my man.
Okay, so I want to talk about Chris Lee. I want to talk about the Barzal hit. I don't want to talk about the NHL as a whole. So now that we've gone down the path and we have seen this, first off, I would like everybody to both apologize and agree when I told you the NHL's clowns and none of this has consistency and it's just going to be a shit show the whole way and there is going to be no change to the NHL
In fairness,
this is the way the fans don't want it. We don't. I hate it too. Harry?
I'll say one thing before that, though. Zach did agree with you.
Zach,
Your side there.
I will.
There's a lot of people listening to this that said, I'm an evil person because I said clean hit. And now I'm going to say on record, Barzal's cross-check to the teeth, clean cross-check.
What a quote. What a quote.
Clean hit. Clean hit.
That's a clean high stick to the
I think
face.
this is a sign for me to
Comment
just
that has to be
slowly
the pinned
wheel my
comment.
chair off of the camera as I go
You
to the
gotta laugh. Because one guy makes a body check, which was it was a big hit, huge, blew him up. And then another guy's like, I'm not going to cross-check you once, but twice in the teeth.
You don't have the puck. God.
Remember, Scheifele got, if we add it up, Scheifele got a game for not playing the puck first. Scheifele got a game for injuring him. Scheifele got a game for skating across the ice. Barzal literally skated 50 feet with no puck in sight to cross-check his teeth twice. 5K.
And he got an imaginary repeat offender that he wasn't a part of for the fourth game that you missed there, coach, too.
So the reason I bring this up is to say that I think, tell me what you guys think, and we'll start with Jake because you're a little more passionate, but I think all fans, this might be the breaking point after the Tim Peel hot mic, Chris Lee, the garbage. Fans, I think, are done with it, but I don't think the NHL is going to make a single change. And I think it's time to buckle up for another 5 years of annoyance because it's not going to change. Jake, do you think this Chris Lee crap and the playoffs as a whole this year are finally going to be what it takes for the GMs to listen to fans?
Okay. I'm a hopeful guy, and I do want to see hockey change in the area, so I would say I'm going to say yes because I'm hopeful. Realistically, no. If anything, this playoff run has just shown that the league is more incompetent than I ever even thought they were. Even though I knew they were already incompetent, this has just been like the icing on the cake, I feel like. And as much as I want to see change, and I do want to see the game of hockey progress into the future, I don't think the league is ready for it yet. I think the league still sees themselves as like this early 2000s hockey, where like a lot of hitting, and it's still not, favoring the Stars as much, even though they definitely do favor the Stars. We see it with McDavid and stuff like that. I think they just want this part of hockey, no matter what the fans think. When it comes down to it, the NHL, maybe, they don't like, maybe us fans, we're like, oh, we always complain, we always talk, we fight, argue with each other about the hits and about the plays and how they're called. To the NHL, I think they just see this as, talking points and conversations being generated about their league at this point. I just genuinely don't think they see it as a problem that fans are pointing this stuff out. They think it's just good for their exposure, that they're getting all this conversation and that people are not going to want to watch these games after. And I relate that back to, oh God, I'm blanking on the teams, but after the Rangers game that happened with Washington versus the Rangers, yes, with the Wilson stuff, that was one of the most viewed games of the regular season, the game after that, because everyone knew it was coming and the NHL was ready for it. And I think that because of that, and the NHL still sees revenue increase from these type of games and the plays and people and the conversation that buzzes from it, I still don't think we're going to see much change, if any. I think it really is going to come down to someone almost dying on the ice before we actually see anything. And I hate to say that, but I genuinely think that's what it's going to take. Like, if the Tavares stuff and the Evans, even though the Evans thing is a very different margin than what Tavares was, and all these things, the conversations that get generated throughout the season, even going into the regular season, if that's not enough to get any type of change, and we just keep seeing this, nothing will change.
Well, and look at it this way. The Bruins player didn't return.
Yep.
Evans hasn't returned. JT technically didn't return. He might have at some point. He could have
by now. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Ruda is out. Like we're watching players drop like flies, and as I pointed out, this is the GMs and players to make the change. Even though the fans,
the
GMs and players want to do it, they clearly agree to this. And my main point after that Scheifele hit, when everyone got worked up, is we're gonna get screwed and we're gonna get hung out to dry, and then nothing's gonna change and everything's gonna go back to the way it was. And that's all that happens. Because imagine, Zach, tell me this, you take it. What if Matt Barzal doesn't play in Game 6?
then the series is over and Tampa wins because Matt Barzal is literally the soul of that team.
Yep.
The only other argument you can argue who is the soul of that team is Anthony Beauvillier, and he does not have the pedigree to carry that team single-handedly to that game. He can do a lot on his own, but that's it. And this is the thing that drives me nuts. Matt Barzal lays that cross-check in Game 6. What if Scheifele lays that hit in Game 6 and Matt Barzal lays that cross-check in Game 1 when it is as some may see it, as a clean slate, as the series is still yet to be defined. Therefore, we can take a player out now and we will just see what happens. Like, it's not like we're taking a player out now on a pivotal game coming up, which is just frustrating to watch.
What about this, Zach?
Mm-hmm.
What if Matt Barzal played on Winnipeg and Scheifele made that hit on the Islanders? Because New York is a very, very big market that draws a lot of eyes.
It's okay. So that's even a tougher thing to see, because if Scheifele lays that hit on the Islanders, I don't know, because the Islanders have had that reputation of playing such a rough style of game and having those go back and forth. Like, for example, there was Krejci spearing a guy like literally in the crotch. Like, those are the type of hard-hitting series that you see there. So honestly, I feel like it might not go as noticed.
Well,
like, it might not go so out. Like, it wasn't such an out of the blue shot to the, like, because there was no play comparable to that in the Winnipeg series at all. But in games like with the Islanders play, and I'm not saying they're a dirty team, I'm saying they're a hard-hitting team. It's very different. And that hit was a very hard hit. But those things would get lost in the shuffle, more likely, at least, to get lost in the shuffle in a series like that, as in a series that was like, for example, the Montreal-Winnipeg series, which was a lot more skill-based, a lot more style and finesse in comparison.
Okay, so Zach, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to Harry. You say the Islanders aren't a dirty team. Dirty to me is like trying to injure you, but we all know, caveat to this before my Islander fans go nuts, everybody knows I like tough, cheap hockey. The Islanders are freaking wieners because they actually take off helmets in scrums to undo chin straps, and as soon as that's done, the rule says you have to change. So
yes, I'm not overdoing that, yes.
Take his bucket
off. I'm
not
generalizing.
And he has to change.
Yes, but I understand your point. Yes.
So they're wieners. When you say they're clean, not a chance.
Okay, I'm not saying they're clean. I'm just saying I'm not going to overgeneralize for the people that do make those hits. It's kind of hard for me to. It's a gray area.
I'm going to, because they play in the East against the Bruins and the Penguins and the Flyers, and that entire division is my favorite because they're all junk in the best possible way. All of them. All of them.
You sound like my uncle.
They're beautiful train wrecks,
aren't they? Uncle.
I like this division because they're all garbage.
They're beautiful train wrecks to watch.
But when you look at the little shit that they do, everybody is Corey Perry on all those teams.
Oh, I know.
Everybody. Okay, Harry, tell me this now then. So now I left you for last. Why are you and Habs fans so upset with Chris Lee when the rest of the NHL is getting such garbage calls, including the Islanders and Lightning against Chris Lee, but you won the game? So why is everyone so hot in Montreal? You benefited from this clown.
It's just because of how bad the officiating overall was, and I'm one of the few Habs fans that if people go back and watch my Game 3 review, it's channel. I don't know how to cheap plug. I'm sorry.
Right. Follow him.
Thank you. But if in my Game 3 review, I was one of the few people that mentioned, there's a missed call against Corey Perry. There was a miss this. There was a miss that. I mentioned a few missed calls that could have benefited Vegas, as well as obviously the Habs. And when the cross-check went uncalled, and Perry has had that gash on his nose for the past 2 games.
Demon Perry.
It's honestly infuriating to see that and think that should have been a form in a double minor. And even though we won the game, it should have been a penalty. And the fact that Marchessault gets nothing for the high stick, it's infuriating. And even watching Game 4, even though we lost and arguably could have and arguably should have won, seeing so many missed calls on both teams, again, on the Habs and the Golden Knights. There was a boarding call. I forget who it was. I think it was Joel Edmondson that should have gotten called for a boarding call. Seeing so many plays going uncalled, it's dangerous, and I don't like it. I don't like seeing players getting injured, and I don't want to, I don't want it to get to the point where a player almost has to die on the ice for it to change. And so for me, a referee is supposed to enforce safety for the players, So I don't get how Kirsley hasn't called a majority of the things he hasn't called. I don't. There's no way it's game management. I don't know what it is, but for me personally, I don't know about other Habs fans, but it's more so because the safety of the players is heavily in danger when Kirsley is refereeing a game.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm going to make the last point about this, though. I'm going to tell you right now, with all the cross-checks from behind, Stamkos eating boards, Shea Weber eating boards, Edmondson eating boards, and then Weber and Edmondson, conversely, forcing the Knights to eat boards. Everyone is going headfirst into the boards from behind. No freaking way these guys care about safety or each other. Absolutely no way. The players aren't worried about it in a second because they see numbers and they're fucking feeding a guy.
But
like, the actions tell me they don't care.
But I would kind of relate that to like the general right there, coach. Is do you think as a guy, you've been around for a lot longer than all of us, and you've played the game of hockey in different eras as well. You're not that much older, but you've played the game at different times.
I have.
And I want to ask you, do you think that that's kind of the bad mindset to be carrying into the future of the league? Like, I'm all for physicality and hitting. Trust me, I am. I played hockey as a goon. I got freaking suspended too many times to count. Point being, do you think that for the players to want to for the league to change, the players need to accept the fact that the game needs to change as well?
Yes, and it's horrible because you have to develop. So as you're going through junior, and you're in these camps, you realize very quickly in junior more so than midget, because like midget, everybody's an animal. You're wearing a cage, everyone's a tough guy.
Yeah.
But when you get to your first junior camp, especially because I played in the clutch and grab era, you realize quickly I'm actually a very nice person. I don't like getting into fights in hockey. I don't like cheap shotting guys from behind. I don't like seeing teeth get out. I actually feel physically ill about it. I don't like it.
I can get that.
But here's the weird thing. If you're going to play the game to survive, you have to click something in your brain. And I had to talk myself through this before every game. If I don't hit you first and end you first, you're going to end me. And I prefer it the other way.
Exactly.
So when a guy would go into the corner and you knew it was coming, like you knew the Corey Perry of the league or whoever it was, and you thought you had a chance to take it out, you take it. And the only honor within the code that I would say that I saw, cross checks were okay. Hits to the head were okay. Like, you wouldn't target it, but like you just try to kill the guy. You're hitting him. If you hit his head, you move on. Fights were okay. Things that weren't okay were like, the ankle slash wasn't okay, but it is now. Ankle slash used to be, we're fighting. That's all it was.
Like stick infractions, or
yeah, that was not a thing when we played. We actually kept our sticks down better than anything I've seen ever. That was the code. You wouldn't ride up a stick to a guy's face. But nowadays you do, because the fighting is gone to a point. Like, I mean, it's still there, but it's way, way down. But yeah, back in a junior camp, if you slashed an ankle even once, drop the gloves. That's all that happened. The guy turned around, he dropped his gloves, and you were fighting. There was no question about it.
Yeah.
It actually happened to be a beer league game because I'm a hero, apparently. We were down. 22-year-old kid. He's got a red helmet on and a bucket on. Turns out he played for Swift Current the year before, so I'm 35. Just out for a skate. We were down like 10-2. And this guy he just gave me a chop, like an ankle chop. And I should have known, because he's younger, that's just part of his game. I don't even think it meant anything against me. It's just what they do. So I turned around. I was like, are you serious? I took this guy's calf so bad. And then I skated away because, like, I wasn't even thinking of it, because I'm like, well, you slash me, I'll slash you. I was in a fight immediately by a guy who was 6'2", 230, and 10 years younger than me. So I'm in it. So it's fine. Got through it. No problem. And then he goes, you slashed me. I was like, yeah, you slashed me first. And then everyone was like, they're looking at me in the room. They go, I can't believe that guy fought you after he slashed you first. What a clown. This is beer league. And I was like, no, you're all wrong. 100% my fault. I slashed him. He went down. I never should have turned my back, because that's an auto fight. Yeah. I should have known better. And they're like, you're so chill about it. I'm like, yeah, I should be. I was wrong. He was completely right to fight me.
Exactly.
And that's a lead without hitting. Yeah, that's a lead without hitting. So that's kind of an idea of the code. But when people say there's a code, the code is just whatever that particular player has made up in his head today. There are loose guidelines, but until they're willing to change it, and I'll tell you when I think they're willing to change it, when you start seeing them add equipment.
Yeah.
Like these guys still believe that they're losing an edge by putting on a full cage like an NFL player because
Yeah.
the half visors allows it. You still see junior kids saying my neck guard's causing a problem. What problem? Other than the fact that you're one
Yeah.
of 10,000 players could actually get his neck cut, and we've seen it happen.
Exactly.
Why do they
those
take
drive
out
me
ear
nuts.
guards? Like Brian Little is still on the shelf. I don't know if the ear guard would have helped him. I get it. It's only a piece of plastic. But he got hit right in the ear here
Could've
because he
helped him
took
a
an ear
little
guard
bit.
out. Why? And only half the league is using a mouth guard, and the half the league that's using a mouth guard is like Shifley. It's out the side of his mouth. I don't even know why he wears
It's
it.
just gum for them, man. Just chewing on it the whole
Yeah,
time.
it's just
It's like
That's
modern
putting a
spit
cup-
for guys in the.
It's
So in
literally
short,
modern day
until the
tobacco.
players go to their union and the general managers and say, "Hey, we're done with this," that's the way it's going to go. And I'll direct you to go take a look at Stevie Y and Matt Sundin when they got the stick in the eye, because these were guys who used to not wear visors. This was before visors were regular. And finally, when they both almost went blind and had to get surgeries for it, they said, "I don't know if not wearing a visor is worth it." And I
That's
don't
a
know if
rough
Duncan
call.
Keith, you guys remember when Duncan Keith took the slap shot in the teeth and lost his whole mouth?
Yeah, I remember
In
that.
return? Sure. Freaking awesome.
Oh.
But seriously, someone asked Duncan Keith later after his career's done, it's like, did that add any value to your career?
No. Just added.
No.
Just it made his dentist bill go
No.
up, man.
Did, like, to any of us, if you started watching play, it would look weird for 2 years, but if you started to watch players in a cage, would that change your mind?
Dude, it wouldn't bother me the
Ow.
first time. My whole life I played hockey with a cage. I don't really care about it. They played it with
I'm
the
a
juniors,
goalie.
too. Like, it doesn't matter to
I'm
me.
used to cage.
Goalies are my favorite, Zach, because you guys are awesome. In 1 second, you're crazy because you're stopping 100-mile-an-hour shots. On another hand,
Yeah.
STFU, because you're sitting in the dressing room telling a defenseman like me, "Oh, just go fight him," and I'm like,
Okay, well, no. I do not speak for all goalie kind. I would like to say I stay in my lane. I just shout it on the ice.
There
That's
you
how
go.
I am, and my defensemen know it. They'll be like, "Oh, what's he yelling about? Just ignore him. He needs to do it to keep himself in the game."
So, so I found ways, Jake. I found ways to get out of fights without looking like a baby. So I actually got
Mind
into a fight
change?
with Mark Stahl. This is my claim to fame in hockey. I got in a fight with Mark Stahl,
Ah!
and I
there you
won.
go.
I won.
Put him
He's
in
much
his
bigger than me. He's much better than me. He's much stronger than me.
Go for a takedown.
So we were playing in Thunder Bay, where he was from. They were up like 11-2 on us. So it's
Mhm.
2 AAA midget teams, and in Thunder Bay at the time, you could fight and you could take your helmet off before you fought. 16-year-old
Ooh, I
kids.
like that rule.
Did you
Yep,
leave it
could-
on?
You take your cage off and you could square up. I didn't know that because in Manitoba, no chance you couldn't do that. So they had Tom Pyatt, Jordan Stahl, and Mark Stahl on the same team. That wasn't fair.
Oh, what the hell are you supposed to do against that?
That makes
No.
sense for the score.
You don't.
Give you at
So
least
there's-
Tom
there's
Pyatt.
3,000
Exactly,
fans
right?
there.
At least.
There you go. 3 NHL All-Stars on 1 midget team. Thanks.
Oh, God.
So there's 3,000 fans in the stands for the Thunder Bay Kings, and I'm just done. So I slash Mark on the ankle because it's like 6'2", and he's a defenseman, and he's up near our blue line. I'm like, get out of here, Stahl. Like he's cherry picking now.
Showing off for the fans.
So I slash him, and so casually.
It's the whole town.
Explain to you how nice the 3 Stahl brothers are, because I got to meet the 2 and meet Eric. This is the most casual Icelandic guy you've ever met. He's like, "Oh, you slashed me?" Takes off his helmet, drops his gloves. He's like, "Come on, we're gonna fight now, eh?"
Oh, man.
That's like, I can't walk away now.
You just challenged an NHLer, bro. You better come up to the plate.
Okay, there, sir.
So we line up, and I remember something my dad taught me, which is like, if you're ever in trouble, like real trouble, and I'm like, I'm in trouble. Like, I'm 5'10", I'm like, I'm big trouble here. So we square up, and the trick is you lean in shoulder to shoulder. You're gonna eat one in the face, but
Yep.
just one, and he might miss. You lean in and you grab his hockey pants with both hands, and you flip. Because all a hockey fight is balance, and you can't survive that. So just above the kneecap where the hockey pants touch, 2 hands under it, lift up. He can't stop it. There's physics doesn't allow it. Doesn't matter how big he is.
So
Skates
you
move.
flip Marstall at the blue
What?
line.
What you?
Yeah, I
Like-
ate one.
like
It
over?
really hurt because he's really tough.
Oh, my God.
And I flipped him, and I got on top and just started like doing this.
Is this hockey
And then
or
I got sent
WWE?
to the
Like
box.
Alexander Semin.
Crowd went nuts. Sent to the box. And Saul looks over at me, and he's laughing, and he goes, "I've never seen that before. That was pretty smart. I would have killed you." And I'm like, "I know you would."
So I gotta show up for the whole town, bud.
Mark, I'm like, I'm not even arguing. Why do you think I did it? I was toast, man.
Did
Like,
you play them
toast.
again?
Oh yeah. We played him like 10 times.
Oh, okay.
He had no animosity.
Beautiful.
He's a true pro. Like the next game out, like he gave me a shin tap. Like we were good. Everything was fine.
That,
wouldn't remember
that
me
ladies and
now,
gentlemen,
but-
is the code in hockey.
That's what it is. So Mark lives by it. Like, he's like, okay, we
Suplex.
did it. We're done. That was funny.
Exactly.
Nobody got hurt. We're moving on.
Oh man, God.
So that is the code. And you know what, Jake? I know it's story time now, but honestly, there are other guys in the league that I've played that would not have shin tapped you. Like when I explain to you, there's guys that go in the corner that tell you Jordan Tutu was one of these guys. I'm gonna effing kill you.
I love Jordan. Tutu.
You actually think he's going to murder you because he is.
Yeah, exactly. That's
It's
why I
not a
love Jordan
Yeah.
Tutu.
He's very
fans
upfront.
love him.
That's
Fans
just
all love him.
kills
They're like, we love Tutu. We love the Tutu story. You know what? Tutu is a father. Tutu is a person. Tutu is a husband. Excellent human being. Tutu is a hockey player, is a psychopathic murderer on the ice. And I don't want to be anywhere near him.
I get that, man.
I fear for my life. And I should, because he is the toughest, strongest, biggest. Like I said about Tom Wilson, you can't do anything. There's no surviving.
Yeah.
Get me out of the game. I'm done. Like,
Dude, Tom
coach,
Wilson
I pulled the
is so
hammy.
weird like that because he's huge, he's big, he looks like a goon, but he still drop 20 goals on you. Like it's so interesting.
He dropped 20 goals on you. It's even worse. He gets space because you're like, if you look at Wilson wrong, he might kill you.
Yeah, I know. That guy got some loose wires up in his head, man. I swear to
It's
God.
the Kadri to Marchand scale right there that he falls
Like,
on.
Do you guys remember? Did you ever see the highlight? But this was back like when the clutch and grab thing. Jordan Tutu was playing in Brandon and jumped into the opposing team's bench and fought everyone.
That sounds like such a Manitoba story right
Oh
there.
my
I can't
God.
even.
He
That
jumped.
sounds like really Doug Glatt.
Those are the stories my referee buddies tell me about.
Well, what do you do? There's nothing you can do.
At that
Game's
point-
over.
Put him up, man. You gotta just grab a hockey stick. You gotta arm yourself, man. Get a
Let's
weapon.
go home.
So yeah, the Chris Lee thing. You know what? When we say it's normal, it shouldn't be normal. It really shouldn't. The NHL should be performing. The NFL's trying to move to more safety. The NBA, soccer is even discussing removing heading because of concussions. And the NHL's like, cross checks from behind, we're cool.
That was good.
And
You got a
that's
helmet
where
for that.
my opinion comes from, Coach. Is that I just want to see the league grow with every other league, so that we're continuing that same conversation when people talk about pro sports in North America, and not have this like dark shame on the NHL as it's stuck in the corner because it's like literally where all the barbaric, crazy men go on skates to kill each other. I just want it to be taken to that next level, and that's all I really want. And I love hitting, but I just think that they need to adapt the game for the future. That's all I want. I totally agree with everything you're saying. Yeah, and you're
Me
right.
too.
You're like,
And
hitting it
to be
right on
honest-
the head of the nail.
And to be honest, I never used to believe this when Hockey Canada increased the age for hitting, because I was like, how are the kids going to learn? You got to learn at a young age when they're bigger,
I
they're going to
just
kill each
missed
other.
that.
I have actually flipped, and I'm more extreme with Hockey Canada, where I truly believe fighting and even dangerous body checking, not body contact, they're different, maybe should be held off until you're paid money.
I agree.
Because
agree.
I-
10 Vikings for no money,
Right.
getting multiple concussions like Nolan Patrick did and dislocating his shoulder and basically ruining the start of his career and maybe the rest of his life. I know
He
he's still
probably
with the
won't be the
Flyers.
same player he would have been if that never
No.
happened, regardless.
And he wasn't getting paid. Do I feel
Right.
bad for Jake Evans? Yes. Do I feel bad that he signed a contract saying this is the rules I agree upon, even though the rules are broken? We know this can happen? Not really. I actually don't.
I get that. I
Mm.
get that feeling there. I get that.
Right.
logic.
I feel horrible for those kids that aren't getting paid, that are chasing a dream, that don't get it.
Yeah, we covered
Yeah,
that. We covered
honest-
that when the whole Jake Evans thing went down in depth, and you were really right about that. You're going down the same path right now. And
Yeah.
you're right. You know, if you're gonna put your life on the line, you got to do it for a reward. Don't do it just because your coach is like, you got to play the game the way you got to play the game.
I would say, especially just one thing, as I do referee a lot of minor hockey, being able to, being that the hitting age has been raised, it helps create a lot more of just stability in how a referee can do his job, especially a younger official, because hitting is such a thing that on paper, it might be hard to distinguish a hit from a lean, but once you see it happen, you know when to call it. It's so much easier to call. It's so much easier to develop when it's not okay to do it, especially if you're calling at a younger age. And when you're calling, even when you're distinguishing the hits that are not okay for certain reasons at a younger age, while agreeing that at that age, neither of them are okay. It's honestly like you're accomplishing two goals at the same time there. Like,
Yep. Well, and you've seen it
Yeah.
as a referee, right, Zach? Like,
yeah,
if you watch a AAA level game, there is a lot of justification to let hitting play there because there's a little more skill. You watch a midget C game, they can't skate.
You don't need to chase
The
it.
stands are packed because their buddies are about to fight. Some are drunk.
Most.
And it's just like danger. Like it's just like, oh, don't like if you can't skate, don't hit.
It's half of people that cannot skate at all, and the other half are people that can skate somewhat okay, but it's honestly like elementary. Like once you hit from there, there's a huge jump to even just being able to skate a little bit, and that makes it extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For sure.
So Harry, are you surprised? Because I'm surprised. Are you surprised at how tough the Canadians are and how much they hit? It kind of shocked me.
Yeah, honestly, because I look at what we added in the offseason. Like, yes, we added Anderson and Prairie, and we had Galley, and half our blue line, basically all our blue line can hit. But I am definitely surprised with how, in a way, gritty our game is, like you said. And I'm very surprised by how much we hit for sure. I think we're top 3 in the league in hitting, I think. And that really does surprise me because I expected us to be, when we hired Dom Ducharme especially, to be a lot more just offensive. Maybe we'll be lucky to get 7 goals most of the time, trying to score 3 to 4. But no, we're trying to score 2 to 3 goals, and we're just laying the body whenever we can. And I love it. Like I love how we're able to play this kind of two-way game of hockey where we're able to hit and we're able to score. And I think that's arguably kind of the deadliest type of hockey you can get, I think, is when you're able to do both.
Yeah,
absolutely. So you want the Lightning, Jake? Who do you want? Habs and who?
I want the Habs and Islanders. I love the Islanders team, and mostly just because I love Barry Trotz. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in my lifetime, especially. And I just love both those teams. When you asked me like a month ago who's in the Cup final, those guys aren't even my last prediction that I would give you. I had like no way. Like I don't even think there was a possibility or in a universe out there where that happens. So I'm all for the unexpected, and I think that's a pretty unexpected matchup. And honestly, I'm going to give a prediction. If the Habs make it out tonight, and the Habs Islanders is my prediction for the Cup final, and I am going to take the Habs in 7. I think that series goes 7 games, and that's my prediction. Zach, over to you.
Zach, who you got?
It's funny. I think actually it's funny because I think while shot, a riskier decision is Habs versus Tampa. I think it's actually a more familiar decision, and the Habs have been prepping for a team like Tampa. But at the same time, I just don't want to leave the sugar next to the rat poison. I just don't want to have Tampa sitting there. Like, why? We all know there's going to be a game 7. Why take the risk? Honestly, let's have Barry Trotz, Manitoba native, just take that Islanders team to the Stanley Cup final, and then they can lose to the Habs. Because you know what? That's progression. By the Islanders style, they can have it next year. Or maybe not. Maybe Hellebuck decides that he's Carey Price plus Patrick Waugh and just carries them 16-0. We don't know. Stranger things have happened. The 18th seed is somehow leading the team tied with the President's Trophy winner.
So I'm gonna say you have the best analogies I've ever heard. Sugar and rat poison. Where do you come up with this?
It's a mix, very mixed of things. Like you watch a bunch of comedians and it kind of just blends together.
To quote Patrick Starr, his mind is an enigma.
Stand-up should be your thing. Okay, so I'm going to take, for a very tactical and strategic reason, the Islanders. The Habs want to play the Islanders, and that's because I love trolls and ridiculousness, and the fans of the New York Islanders are the most amazing, ridiculous, over-the-top, loving, and the only fan base I think that can compete with them is the Habs. So I want to see these two ridiculous fan bases screaming at each other. I have never seen a group of 15 to 20,000 people coordinate more songs in my life than the Islanders.
Yeah.
Do they both riot? Do they both riot no matter who wins?
Because
we know Montreal riot when they lose.
Hell yeah,
but I think Islanders riot no matter what. Like
Should I get the Vancouver jersey?
This is Philadelphia situation right now. Like it doesn't matter. They either riot angrily or riot happily.
I'll bust out the Vancouver jersey, boys. We'll get the riot going early. Right? Come on out. We'll light Robson Street on fire again. 10-year anniversary. No, 12-year anniversary. 11-year anniversary. We'll get it lit again, boys.
Someone get their girlfriend. We need a photo op.
So I 100% guarantee you that if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup, the Nassau Coliseum will be demolitioned by fans because
It'll look like the
win.
Roman
And
Coliseum.
the city won't have to spend any taxpayer dollars removing that building. They'll demo it.
Yeah, they'll do it.
It'll be like the side of it cut out.
The fans are just
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
rip
they'll-
the chairs out. This is the chair
It'll
I
be
sat in when
Roman
we won.
Coliseum. It'll look the exact same. It'll
Yep,
be
they
at a
will
monument
rip it out.
heritage site.
I am waiting to see, kind of like, when the Capitol riot happened and the guy stole the podium.
Oh my
I
God,
can't
yes.
wait to see someone walking out with a piece of board or glass. Like full sheet.
Oh, you can't. Oh, and it will happen. It will happen.
Hilarious.
And unlike the
Well,
Capitol
well,
Rioters,
like-
they'll be heroes.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the Capitol rioters are freaking terrorists. These guys are just awesome in saving taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
Okay, take us home, Jake.
All
Finish it
right,
up.
and before we finish up our closing remarks, we're going to end on a little bit of a somber note. If you haven't already seen the news that has happened, another 751 unmarked graves were found at a residential school in Saskatchewan. This is a really close topic to me. It hit homes as a member with a ton of Métis family and Native family. I think it's a very important topic in our country's history, and if you don't know enough about the entirety of the residential school system and how it affected the Natives' lives in Canada and just in North America with the United States as well, I would direct you over to irss.ca, where you can learn more about Indigenous residential school survivors. You can donate and just get more on board with this topic and helping prepare and repair and rebuild what the Native communities has gone through the last few years. It's a really important topic to me and to all of us here. So if you have any time left in your day, just go over. Don't have to donate or anything, but just read and educate yourself about that situation, because it's very important to the country to move on and heal properly for once about something like this. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Prairie Puck Podcast. We appreciate all of you guys listening to this episode as always. Thank you so much to Harry Rice for coming on to the show, our first guest. It was awesome to have you on, my friend. Definitely be having you on for more, especially if we see a Habs victory. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching this video. I'm Jake from Peg City Hockey, over my buddy Zach from the Nolan Hockey Podcast, Coach from the Hot Garbage Sports, and obviously Harry Rice from Harry Rice. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. We will see you next week, Friday. Have a great rest of your week, and bye-bye.